So I thought I'd give a brief update on the 453 TIB I'm building for marine use. This is a starboard engine. The port engine is at the machine shop all torn down right now, getting cleaned up and getting some liners punched out. So obviously we've got the tank with the heat exchanger and it's all been cleaned, and the anodes. The balancer I put on it is because at I think it's at 2,500 RPMs. You get a vibration that's naturally occurring in the 453. So I got a fluid damper for 454 and had it modified and bored out and put on there because actually I couldn't find the one for the Silver Series, so I thought I'd go with a fluid damper aftermarket instead of the rubber Silver Series. Put this Niagara intercooler on it, which I haven't run water through yet to try it to see if it makes any difference on horsepower because I don't have any way to measure it. And finally, I have the turbo pipe hooked up. I just welded it into a stock Detroit intake, going around to the turbo. Nothing fancy. If you want to get a good laugh at my weld, there you go. I'll give you a chuckle. The turbo is a pulsar. I don't know the measurements right off the top of my head. It's like maybe 66 millimeter or something. It's a turbo ball bearing. Sorry, it's a ball bearing turbo. So on a ball bearing turbo, this fitting right here going in is actually restricted. It's not as much oil as going in a regular turbo. So at least that's not working against me on oil pressure. I had to fabricate the line for the drain going all the way down to the pan back here and connecting in underneath the pan. Once I get my installation installed and see how everything's gonna go, I'll shorten up that line once it's installed in a boat, which I don't have a boat yet. I'm still working on that part. Raw water pump is the same design. That's on an 853. I'm sure it fits a lot of other Detroits as well. I had some problems with the stock pump that came with it. It's all frozen up. So I said, well, for this horsepower rating, I'll just use a upgraded capacity pump. Transmission came with velvet drives in the 140 horsepower version when I got this engine with non-turbo. Still looking at alternatives for that, depending on what kind of boat that I end up putting it in. All cap, one of the few 53 remaining all caps I could find. I put a post up the other day about the 8.2 fitting, the 8.2 cap also fitting, and then somebody let me know that some Chevy fuel caps fit there too, which is good. Breather cap, this is some 3D printed stuff I'm trying out for fit for a low profile. This is just a test version that I'm putting up there to see if it fits before I make a final version. Don't worry, purple is not the deal. Fuel systems. A lot of the people online, they'll change out the fuel filters on their port of their starboard engine and then can't get it cranked up for fuel starvation. I like to use these fittings right here. And then on your return line, on both engines, you have the opposite fitting that stays hooked up normally. But if you have a problem with the engine, you just take the return line off of the good engine, hook it in here, start the good engine up, and the good engine primes up your starving engine, and it's a done deal. You're finished. Disconnect it, hook it back up in the boat, and you're ready to go. Alternator. This is a 160 amp alternator. I thought about in a boat that maybe I'd put a lithium battery set up, so I wanted a high capacity alternator. So we'll see. None of it's hooked up right now. It's not hooked up to the battery. On the battery, I just have a little battery tender right there, keeping it on charge. So for the return line coming out the head, I don't actually use a restricted fitting. There's a company called Swedgelock, or maybe you'll know it by Arrow Clip or something like that, that makes these spring-loaded check valves. The spring-loaded check valve is restricted enough that it makes fuel pressure, and it does a really good job of keeping the fuel from backfeeding and draining out your engine. I started the engine up the other day. A lot of fuel pumps on these, this was originally a very old engine, like a 73 or 74. In that era, the fuel pump drive, it's not a fork, it's actually a piece of square tubing. In that era, they're very, very thin. So it's really common to break them. If you get in touch with somebody and get the updated one, it's much, much thicker. And actually looks like it probably broke the pump shaft before it broke the fork. So anyway, updated that. The line on the air box right there is going to the fuel modulator, which actually goes into the cylinder head right there, and then to the modulator on the rack. This engine not being connected to any load or anything isn't going to make enough PSI to turbo to open the modulator up all the way, so can't get full power with no load. It's not even going to get full RPM. But we can go ahead and start it up now and try to make a whole bunch of smoke and piss off the neighbors. So let's see what she's got. It's going to be a cold start and a lot of smoke, I am sure. So let it sit for a bit. Walmart batters. Oh, almost couple pops. Smells like Chanel number 5 in here. Oh yeah, she's gonna hit now. Almost there. Woo. Surprising for brand new cylinder kits, huh? Cold weather. There you have it. Your music for today.